Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight. And we have a wonderful experience and panel for you tonight. We have members of the faculty. We have the director of the Student Success Center, and I am Dr. Pat Thatcher. I am the Associate Vice President of Academic Affairs. And we're going to say a few things about some real fundamentals that you're going to find to be the case when you begin Misericordia on August 20th. And then we're going to allow you some time to ask some questions of our panelists and to get as much out of this as you possibly can. So I hope that you will stay with us, ask us questions. Please don't hesitate to ask anything related to academics that is on your mind. And we are here to try and help you with that. So before we go forward, I'd like the members of the panel to introduce themselves.
Hi, my name is Dr. Amanda Caleb. I am a professor of English and professor of medical and health humanities, and I also direct the medical and health humanities program.
Hi, I'm Dr. Lisa Shustak. I'm the director of undergraduate nursing at Misericordia.
Hi, my name is Dr. David Zen. I'm an assistant professor of sport management and business.
Hi, I'm Dr. Ryan Watson, and I'm an assistant professor of film and visual media in the Department of Fine Arts.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jessica Nelson. I'm the director of the Student Success Center.
All right, so those are the members of our esteemed panel, and we're going to start out with some brief statements on some very important aspects of why a university or college can be a little bit different, more than a little bit different from high school. All right, so we're going to start off with Dr. Ryan Watson.
Hi, everybody. So I'll be talking a little bit about the role of your professors, what university faculty do and how they're a little bit different maybe than the teachers are used to in high school, and also why it's important to get to know your faculty and how they can assist you to be successful both personally as well as academically. So the first thing is that professors generally have PhDs or other doctorates and terminal degrees in their field. And that means that they're often active researchers and or active clinicians. But teaching is something that they are all really passionate about in addition to their research and clinical work. So your professors are all experts at what they are teaching and are actively contributing to their disciplines and while they're working within their communities. And it's important to get to know faculty because, well, first of all, they're really excited to talk to you. And they can be a great source of advice. Down the line, you know, when you're applying to internships or jobs or clinical experiences, they can provide you letters of recommendation. They can also definitely help you with anything that you may be having trouble with in their class. And they can also introduce you to new ways of thinking and new disciplines and things you may never have considered before. So it's really good to go in sort of with an open mind to every class that you're taking. And usually after taking a particular professor for more than one class, you gain an ally, friend, and source of advice for many years after you graduate. And I've been at Misericordia now for going into my 6th year. And I don't know, I probably have 50 or 60 students that I communicate with regularly that have all graduated. We talk about jobs and internships and grad school and what they're doing. And that's a really rewarding part of being a professor. Pat, thanks.
Thank you, Ryan. Next is going to be Dr. Lisa Shustak. Lisa, take it away.
Hi, everybody. I wanted to talk a little bit about your course syllabus. In a college classroom, your course syllabus is one of the most important documents that you want to find before the class begins. So once you have access to your classes, you will be able to access Blackboard. And once you go into Blackboard, that is where you'll find your course syllabus. And there's a lot of important information in that course. First of all, you'll be able to identify your professor and how to contact your professor. And that is super important. So it will have email information, office hours, if they are virtual this semester, or if they will be on campus. You'll also have information in there about grading. So you'll want to look at that to see how courses are weighted and assignments are weighted in each course, which could be different. So I usually tell my students, first of all, to find that syllabus, print it out and read it. It is so important that you read through that entire syllabus before class begins. It will also tell you about your textbooks that are required or any other materials that you need for that course. So looking at your course syllabus and looking at the assignments, it will tell you due dates for assignments, will help you stay organized. And staying organized during your first semester is really important. Find yourself a good planner, whether it's a written down planner or if it's an electronic planner, whatever works for you, but take your syllabus, find the assignments, find the due dates, write them down in your planner so that you can stay organized. Any questions that you have about the course, many times you can find the answers right in your syllabus, and your professor will say to you, did you read the syllabus? So take the time before class begins. I tell my students print them out, but if you don't want to print it out, read it online and make sure you're familiar with all of the course policies. There will be other policies in your syllabus about lateness. If you hand in an assignment late, that will be in there, academic integrity policies, and just any other specific policies that your professor wants you to know about that class. So it's really important. Take the time, find your syllabus in Blackboard. It's usually located in the course on the left-hand side on the menu. You'll see a little link there that says syllabus. And sometimes there's even another link that your professor will put right in the main area where all of the content is. But take some time, look through that syllabus because it is a contract between you and your course professor, that you both understand what the expectations are for you in the course, what the learning objectives are, and you agree to both of you meeting those objectives. So take some time, find your syllabus, read through it, and ask questions at the beginning of the course if there's anything in there that you don't understand.
Thank you, Lisa. I wanted to take the opportunity right now to remind everyone that there is a module associated with this live stream that does directly discuss syllabi, that does discuss much of what we will touch on tonight. So if you want more information, there is a module that you can peruse at your leisure and complete this week. And that will give you much more information and really underscore what we're saying here tonight. All right, so our next topic is something that's very complicated, but also very important to all universities across the United States and Europe. And so I'm going to turn it over to Jessica Nelson now to discuss academic integrity.
Thanks, Pat. Academic integrity on campus is something that we take extremely seriously. As you are a student, you are preparing to work amongst the faculty that you are seeing right here and become a peer. You also will be working in the fields that they have worked in. You could be doing research right along beside them. And so learning to be a scholar of integrity is incredibly important. Your professors are going to be watching very closely to make sure that you are using the resources on campus and doing your work in a way that it shows integrity within academics. Many of you will be learning new ways of writing and citing and formatting your work, particularly your papers, so that they show the resources and citations that you use in your research process. one of the best resources that you can use, in addition to the faculty members that there's themselves, is to utilize the Writing Center in the Student Success Center. The Writing Center is a great resource to help you as you're learning format and citation methods that will ensure that you are using appropriate methods to avoid plagiarism. In addition to that, we will be talking to you more about this in your first year experience program. The FYE program is going to help you as you transition into the college setting. So we'll be talking more about integrity, why it's important, not just to you as a student, but also the entire Misericordia community.
Okay, thank you, Jessica. Again, the module has much more information, and I really do suggest that you take a good hard look at academic integrity before you arrive on campus. All right, so next we have Dr. David Zinn, and he will be discussing how you can engage with your major or with an area that you think might be your major. So take it away, Dr. Zinn.
Well, Pat, well, good evening, everyone. And I was looking forward to talking a little bit about learning outside the classroom. Unlike what you may be used to, the learning is not necessarily going to stop at the end of class, and that's beyond the reading you'll be expected to do and the homework. You've got opportunities on campus to go out and to learn not only about things, but how to do things. We are huge proponents of internships, for instance. As you get a little bit deeper into your career here at Misericordia, you're going to be encouraged to get some practical experience going out. It may be a major requirement. Students in the business program, for instance, usually fulfill a required internship in their junior or senior year, where you go out and get practical experience with a local business or a sport organization or something like that. Excuse me. We also have a lot of service organizations where you have the opportunity to join up with other like-minded individuals. Just about every major on campus has a club that will give you some practical experience. The College of Business, for instance, has an entrepreneurship club. We have a business club. We have a sport management club that will go out and perform events or the like. We have authors coming to campus. We have guest speakers. So you have the opportunity to go and be near and listen to experts in their fields as they come in and speak on a variety of topics. You may have the opportunity to take a service learning class. Where a component of that course would be to go off campus and to actually perform certain duties. Some of our business students this past semester not only learned marketing throughout the course of the semester, they went to a local nursing home and designed the brochures and the marketing materials for that organization. You have those type of opportunities as well. Ms. Nelson mentioned the Student Success Center and the Writing Center. They are absolutely outstanding, and I strongly encourage all my students, whether they're struggling in class or doing absolutely fantastic, to go over and visit their shop. They do a wonderful, wonderful job. I use them personally as I was finishing up my doctoral degree, and they were really, really excellent at helping out, making sure just to get a little bit of polish on that paper or prepare for that upcoming exam or whatever assistance that you might need to help you succeed. We've also got service learning trips through campus ministry. Our students have gone to places like Jamaica and Belize and other places around the world to perform service learning and have the opportunity to learn from those type of experiences. So really the world is your campus, and we want you to not think the classroom is the only place where you're going to be getting educated here at Misericordia.
All right, thank you, Dr. Zinn. Dr. Amanda Caleb is up now, and she's going to talk more about activities on campus, off campus, and all around campus. And so, Dr. Caleb, take it away.
I feel like I got the fun question in some ways, and I appreciate that. I'm just going to give you a few examples of some of the activities that you can be involved with on campus that are related to your academic disciplines, and kind of picking up on some of what Dr. Zinn said. So for instance, in medical and health humanities, we have a health humanities club that's actually open to all majors across campus. You don't have to major in MHH to join. And that club is a combination of discussion and service. So we do service in the local community that's related to health outcomes, But we also have bi-monthly discussions about relevant topics. And you can imagine before our campus went online in the spring, our last topic of discussion when I reviewed the minutes was in fact COVID-19 and how it might impact different groups. And this was back in February. The MHH program also regularly takes field trips. Now that'll look a little bit different this year for obvious reasons. So what we're implementing is virtual field trips. So we actually have students logging on through Zoom throughout the semester, and we're going to be going with them to really awesome, wonderful places that, you know, quite frankly, we couldn't take you to Auschwitz, or we couldn't take you, you know, to Australia normally, but we're going to do it virtually. And finally, the MHH program has a number of evening events that we do for students virtually. That includes trivia nights, movie nights. And so we just ask students if they want to join, they come on in, we give them a schedule for the fall. And we're actually welcome to have anyone else who might be interested. And I'll talk a little bit about the English department as well, since that's the other part of my job is a professor of English. We have a couple of different clubs and activities that you might be interested in. The first is our lit magazine, In Stress. So if you're a creative writer, poetry, fiction, short or slightly longer, if you're a photographer, if you're an artist, you can submit your work to In Stress, and it's published every spring. If you're interested in doing some editorial work, we're always looking for students, and you don't have to be an English major to be involved in In Stress. You can get some really great experience with things like InDesign, which is a type of program to create the actual In Stress magazine. The English department, like many other departments, has an honor society, Sigma Tau Delta. Our chapter is particularly active. We've actually won the National Service Award in 2016 for Sigma Tau Delta. So that's something to think about, is look at what your department offers for honor societies as well. Some will, and you can join as early as your sophomore year. So it's something to keep in mind. What are the requirements? When can I join? And finally, the English department, in addition to having speakers on campus, is we regularly do poetry readings to celebrate things like Women's History Month, Black History Month, whatever it may be, or just sometimes we have just poetry readings for the heck of it. We did some readings of Shakespeare, actually, Shakespeare's sonnets, and we actually did a play as well. That wasn't a poetry reading, but we read one of his plays during study day this past semester, and we did it through Zoom. So there's a lot of different opportunities within your own departments, but there's also opportunities outside of your major. A lot of these different departments welcome students outside their major. So look at what's out there. You can really expand upon what you're learning in the classroom.
Thank you, Dr. Caleb. I want to take a moment now to talk a little bit about what you might experience in an what your instructional experiences might be like at Misericordia this coming semester. As we all know, and as we are all involved in a world that is full of COVID-19, we are in a position that probably no other group, with the exception of, you know, the 1918 flu pandemic, what has happened in our country is similar to that. And so you're coming as first-year students at a time when it's really important to consider your own safety, the safety of others, the entire culture of this campus. And so we will be asking you to follow through with wearing a mask, social distancing, coming to class or following instructions for coming to class as exactly listed on the syllabus. And I think that's going to be very important. Another piece that's going to be important is you will have some courses that will meet face-to-face. However, you may be separated from at least half the other students in the class if the class is large. We have classrooms that are attached electronically in some cases, so half the students can be in one classroom. The other half of the students in the class with the professor can be in another classroom, and there will be transmission back and forth. There is a form of instruction called hybrid instruction, and that can really mean anything. That can mean that part of your assignments are online, and maybe your small group work, if you're doing group work, is online through Zoom or another Blackboard Collaborate type of program. And so you can expect you can expect to experience that. You can also expect to experience what would be a completely remote class, remotely instructed. And so that's another piece that you can expect. Every class could be different in your schedule. So I just want you to be aware of that. And it really underlines what Dr. Shustak discussed earlier with the syllabus. You will need to use your syllabus as a guide to really anchor you in terms of where you're supposed to be, what you're supposed to be doing, and what those assignments are. So this is a time unlike any other in 100 years, and you are going to be first-year students, and we trust that you will have a Misericordia experience, even when your classes are hybrid or online or face-to-face. There will be very high touch from faculty, all of the faculty on this panel, and other faculty will be there to help you through this experience. And so when Dr. Watson suggested that you want to get to know your faculty, you do want to do that. And you want to do that no matter how the instruction is provided in a class, whether it's hybrid, online, or in person. And so you may have to use tools like email, you know, not shiny, not bright, not wonderful, but certainly effective to get to know your professors. And so I'm hoping that that is something that you will be expecting, and that you can be helpful to others as they will be helpful to you as we move through a very challenging fall semester. So thank you. So now we would like to open this up to your questions. Are there questions that you have for us? We have experts here. We have two faculty from the College of Arts and Sciences. That would be Dr. Watson and Dr. Caleb. We have one faculty member from the College of Health Sciences and Education, and that's Dr. Shustak. And we have one faculty member from the College of Business, and that would be Dr. Zinn. So please ask us some questions. Ask us anything. There's no unimportant question. We leave that to you. Dr. Zinn, this is a question for you.
All right.
In the question and answer.
Chris, you were concerned about having never taken an economics or a business class, and should you be worried about that? The easy answer is no. As you come in, if you've had some basic math going into the basic business classes, you're going to be fine. We start you off with a principles of management class, which is just basically an introduction to the principles of how businesses get run, and we start you off from the very fundamentals there, building up toward that DPT program. We have a lot of our student athletes. We have a lot of our sport management majors that are also in the DPT program, and they all tend to do very, very well. So no, I don't think you need to be worried about coming in without an economics background. That's what we're here for, to introduce you to the basics of that, and we're going to take you through that over the course of the first year.
Okay, thank you. I think that would be fair to say that that's probably true of any major at Misericordia, that it doesn't require you to come with previous experience, but to be open to the experiences that are there. Okay. Dr. Caleb and maybe Ms. Nelson, would you care to discuss writing at the college level? How is that challenging, and what could be a good way to handle your concern about that?
Go ahead, Dr. Caleb. I can talk about support.
Okay, great. So that's a great question. And what we expect at the college level is probably going to be a little bit more challenging, more thorough than maybe you've seen in high school. But the whole point is that we're going to transition you to the point. We don't expect you to write like a college graduate from day one. So one of the things we have at Misericordia is our 151 course, University Writing Seminar. When you see your schedule, it might be in the English department. It'll be ENG 151. It might be in history, HIS 151. And that just means the content's going to be a little bit different, but the writing skills are going to be the same. And what that course is going to do is to essentially get you up to speed so you're ready for other general education or core classes and your major courses. So we're going to teach you certain fundamentals of writing in college, things like how to summarize effectively. I know that sounds really simple, but I will tell you summary is one of the hardest skills, to be concise, to be accurate, to be fair to the original source. We're going to reinforce your analytical skills. So you've probably done some analysis in high school. We're going to refine that. We're going to get you to think really critically and deeply about a text, how we use sources effectively, whether that may be in my discipline, it might be using, you know, a quote from a poem or a work of fiction, or using a secondary source to support your argument. We're going to teach you how to do synthesis, which is compare and contrast, to get away from these two things are similar yet different, and to really get into the nuance. What does it mean to put two things together and think about their relationship? And so 151 really starts to introduce you to those basic skills that are going to really make you successful in college. We also require students to take 2 writing intensive courses, and those are designated with a W. And that could be in any number of disciplines. And those are going to be have a little more of a writing emphasis than your regular classes that don't have a W designation. But more importantly, perhaps, they're going to have conferencing and feedback. So we do that in both 151 and our writing intensive courses, that you will be doing multiple drafts for those courses. Getting feedback from your faculty member may also be a peer review depending on the course. And so that we really want you to think about writing as a process. You don't run draft and it's perfect. And I think everyone in this room can agree. Sometimes you write 10 drafts and it's still nowhere near where it needs to be. I see some heads nodding. And so that's something to know, is that, you know, we're all trying to be better writers. That includes your faculty members. And so we're working with you to understand that that process is really important. And I think maybe Jess can talk a little about some of the support outside the classroom.
Yeah, absolutely. There's two major pieces of support that the Student Success Center would recommend. The first one is to absolutely use your faculty office hours. All of your faculty will have office hours that will be noted in their syllabus when they're going to be available to talk with you about a variety of things, but certainly as you're working on a paper, that's an excellent way to utilize faculty office hours. The second method of support is the Writing Center. The Writing Center allows you to bring your paper down for a peer review. You can bring down your paper for any class at any point in the writing process. So you might just be developing your thesis. You might need some help deciding if you have enough evidence to support your claim. You might be trying to make sure that you're avoiding plagiarism and want to make sure that your citations are correct in a final draft. So you can bring that down again as many times as you want through that writing process that is so vital to get some feedback. We employ tutors from a variety of different majors. And again, it could be a lab report or it could be a paper for your literature course. Bring it down, have it taken a look at. We look at papers from Sunday to Thursdays until 10 o'clock at night. So there's lots of opportunities, no appointment necessary, and we will be offering that service virtually. So you'll be able to email it, get some feedback electronically, and if you'd like to have a conference, we will be doing that via Google Meet this semester.
I think one thing to emphasize is to plan ahead. And that's true for any assignment, not just a writing assignment, but certainly because there's so much drafting and writing, is to really think, can I get a rough draft done in enough time to meet with my professor, to send it to the writing center and have feedback from the writing center. So really part of it is just time management and thinking, can I get that draft done early?
Okay, thank you both. We have a question about FYE. Jessica Nelson, could you take this one?
Yes, I just want to say that I'm incredibly impressed with Lisa because the FYE course has been open for about 5 minutes as of this afternoon. So the fact that you've already gotten in there and taken a look at your Blackboard course is incredibly impressive. FYE is a class that is going to help all students transition from high school to college. We'll be meeting for 8 weeks this semester and talking about everything from resources to how to adjust to living with a roommate, to our Mercy heritage here on campus, and lots of things in between. The pretest is something that you do not need to worry about until your first week of class. So don't worry about it. Your FYE instructor and your peer advocate that course is co-taught with an upperclassman will help you navigate that when you get here. So don't worry.
Okay, thank you very much, Jess. Lisa has another question, and I'm going to throw this out to everybody. Maybe Dr. Watson, would you like to take this?
Sure. Thanks for the question, Lisa, and welcome to Misericordia. And the question was, do you recommend books be purchased prior to class starting, or should we wait till we receive a syllabus? And that's a really good question. And I think it's going to vary by professor. And I think we may all have different answers to this, but I'm going to email my class, about 2 weeks or so before the class starts, which is probably tomorrow, and let them know what books I want them to purchase and have them purchase those prior to class, just because it makes the beginning of the semester a little bit less stressful. And when you get access to your syllabi, you'll see listed the readings for each week. And I've had students in the past, wait to get their books until the first or second week of class, but then everyone on campus is trying to get their books. And a lot of people around the country are trying to buy books from Amazon. And a lot of people are trying to buy the same books, especially for introductory classes. So I think it's good to sort of get those things sorted early. And there's 2 ways to find out what books you need. The main way would be the syllabus that the professor has posted. The other way would be through the campus bookstore. The professors have given the campus bookstore their list of books. And so they list what is needed for each class. And then the third way, and I think this is the most foolproof way, is just to reach out to your professor and email them and ask them what books are required for the class. And they'd be happy to tell you. And I think they would, look favorably upon somebody who's taking that sort of initiative, before classes even start. But I'm happy to toss this to other panelists.
If I could piggyback on that just a little bit, you might see a different classification, whether it's required or recommended through the bookstore. If it's a required text, I would go ahead and get it because you're going to be using that you're going to be using that book from day one. Recommended, you might be able to wait and double check with the professor. But if it's required, I'd go ahead and get on Amazon or the bookstore or whatever the case may be and get that book right away.
Anyone else want to add?
I would just add that when you're looking for books, that there's options to rent textbooks as well. So you have different options. You could either purchase a textbook outright, or you can buy it used if that's appropriate. And that might be a question that you want to ask your professor, if it's okay if you purchase a used textbook. Some of the textbooks come with access codes to online resources. And if you purchase that textbook used, sometimes the code will not work. So you will not have access to the online resources. So depending on whether or not your professor uses those online resources, or if you want to use those online resources for extra study help and you buy the textbook used, you may not be able to access that code. You also then have the option of renting a textbook. So you may run the risk of the same situation. If you rent a textbook, the access code may not work. If you rent a textbook, you have to then mail it back at the end of the semester. You don't get your money back, but you can mail it back and you're actually renting it for a lesser price than if you purchase it new. But that's a question that you would want to ask your specific instructor. Do I need to purchase this textbook new, or can I purchase it used, or can I rent it? They will be able to guide you with that if it's not specifically listed in the syllabus.
Can I just add one other thing to what Dr. Shustak was saying? Also, the edition of the book is usually important. And I've had students before, let's say I've listed a certain book and they need the 3rd edition of it. you may go on Amazon and see, oh, well, here's one that's much cheaper than the other ones. And it's usually because it's an older edition, and a lot of textbooks and anthologies change quite a bit from edition to edition. So it's very important to be precise about what you're looking for, and your professors can help you clarify those kinds of fine details.
That's a great point. I would even recommend just using the ISBN number. And then you can make sure as long as you've copied it correctly or retyped it correctly, you can make sure you have the right edition. And I always say to my students, the advantage of having the books ahead of time is you can sort of preview what the course looks like. A name of a book may not give you a sense of kind of the progression, particularly I'd say in a literature class, we might have book titles that are not quite as clear maybe of what the work of fiction is about. But it also gives you a sense of how much reading is in the course too, right? You can kind of see, is it 2 smaller books and some online readings, or are we looking at a stack of books?
Great, thank you, everyone. There's another question that I would like the panel to entertain, and that is, what are some strategies that might help students new to online and more remote learning that they could possibly engage with or consider as they're beginning this semester? And I'm going to open that to the panel.
One of the first things that I would definitely recommend if it's your first online course would be to get yourself organized. Being organized in an online course is really the key to being successful. You're on your own sometimes as far as working on coursework. So finding your syllabus, writing down the due dates for assignments. Many times your online courses will be set up in either a week-to-week basis or module by module basis. So that will tell you if you're working in week 1 or module 1, it should specifically say what assignments you have to get done that week. So keep a little checklist for yourself, write down week by week what you have to do, and then check it off to make sure that you're staying on target. The other thing I would suggest is don't be hesitant to reach out to your professor and engage in chat rooms that might be set up to communicate with some of your classmates. Your professors are more than willing to answer any questions. So don't ever feel that you're asking a question that might seem silly. No question should ever not be asked because you're afraid. Don't be afraid, just ask the question. They can give you tips and advice on what you should be doing. So stay organized, reach out to your professors, engage in chat rooms with your peers so that you get to know them. Many times there might be a chat room that's set up that your professor does not necessarily go into, and it's an area where you can kind of talk with your classmates and just ask questions. Hey, did you understand that assignment? I'm not really sure what's going on. Does anybody else feel that way? And you'll feel that other people in the class have those same exact feelings. So stay engaged, log into the classroom many times. Don't just log in and submit your assignments. Go in there, see what's being posted, see what your instructor's posting, read other people's posts, and really engage with others in those side classrooms or those side groups and chat rooms that are set up.
This is probably a great time to plug the Tutoring Center. The Tutoring Center is a great way to stay engaged, exactly the way that was just mentioned. We offer tutoring again until 10 o'clock at night. It gives you an opportunity to engage with peers, to build a sense of camaraderie, to have some scheduled study time in. You do not need to choose tutoring just for classes that you think are going to be challenging or difficult for you, but it's just part of a good academic hygiene routine to be involved in tutoring. Our model relies on peer tutors. So the individuals who will be tutoring have already had that class, most likely with the same faculty member that you also are taking that class from. So they're really going to be able to help you navigate that. We also offer a service called academic coaching. So if you are having a hard time staying organized, if you're struggling with time management, academic coaches are there to help, not with class content, but with those academic skills. So that's an additional service. We match you one-on-one with an academic coach to kind of help with those skills that can be hard to master as you are transitioning from high school to college. So I encourage you to take advantage of those services as well.
I just wanted to say quickly 2 things about the online question that Pat, you asked. And the 2 things I would say would be that coming into college is a very intimidating thing for a lot of people. I remember I spent like 2 weeks in my first 2 weeks of college wanting to go home really, really badly and not wanting to go to class because I was so nervous. And now I'm a college professor. So you will grow and change a lot in 4 years, and you'll grow and change even more than that in the many years since I've graduated from college. But all that is to say, in a good year, you're facing that kind of anxiety. In this year, you're facing a world historic pandemic on top of the normal going to college anxiety. And I didn't experience that, and none of the people in this panel experienced that. You're experiencing that for the first time. But what your professors know is that you're going through an extremely challenging moment in your lives. So whether your class is online or it's hybrid or it's face-to-face, we are here to help you and get you through this together. We want you to be really successful. And I think professors at Misericordia are very understanding, and I think they're even more understanding at this time. So to echo Dr. Shustak's point, reaching out to your professors, don't feel like you're burdening them or they're too busy. This is our job. This is what we're here to do. I just wanted to talk, the second thing I wanted to talk about was getting to know your professors in an online space. So my classes this semester will be all online. We'll have synchronous meetings where we're going to be talking as a class, just like we normally would. But then there'll be some aspects of the class that are online. And one of the things I love about teaching at Misericordia is the idea that I can sit in my office for office hours and just have like a stream of students kind of coming in and out and just talking about stuff and joking around. And that's something I'm really going to miss next semester. But we are going to have online office hours. We're going to set up other sort of social media channels for my classes to talk. And I really encourage you, even though it might be a little awkward to Zoom into a professor you've never met and talk to them, they really want to talk to you. And they'll be bored just sitting here by themselves on Zoom, for 2 hours waiting. So don't feel awkward about it. Just jump right in. And hopefully together we can all have a really great experience. But just know that we know what's going on and we know what you're facing.
And I would just echo, I think time management is really important for online classes, and that time management includes time for yourself. You don't want to be staring at a screen for 8 hours straight, doing your assignments, zooming into a live class, what office hour. So take time for yourself. Make sure that when you're thinking about your time management, you're building in some of that time to get away from the screen, to get outside a room, to think about self-care, because that's really important with online classes. And as Dr. Watson said, even more important right now.
It's really vital that you stay as engaged as possible. You have to get on Blackboard. You have to check your email. You have to see the way the professors are communicating with you, because you don't want to find out at 10 o'clock on Saturday night that something was due at 9 o'clock. So, you have to be engaged. You have to take it upon yourself to check in and make sure that you're getting the information you need.
Great, thank you. Good, wise words from our crew. Now, Angie has a question, and Angie, I'm going to answer this. Angie asked, when will freshmen have their schedules? And it will be very soon, Angie. If not before next Monday, it will be next week. So you will have your schedules next week. I spoke right before we started this webinar with the registrar, and as a first-year student, the registrar registers you, puts you into classes. And he said that the time is nigh, it will be soon, and you will then also know he'll be assigning your advisor, and your advisor will be a faculty member, and you will discover who that is soon. I would always say to any student, send your advisor a hiya, how you doing kind of email, and say that you're happy to be here and you're happy to be starting and you would love to get to know them better. Because your advisor really will be the person who will help you through if there are difficulties, who can recommend you to resources on campus, all sorts of resources on campus. So I think that's what you want to do. So Angie, you could start expecting to know certainly by the beginning of next week. Let's see, any other questions for us?
I think there was one about what is a normal course load at Misericordia? For a
Oh,
student?
yeah. That's a good one. Does anyone want to answer that? Whatever normal means in
Yeah.
this time? Ryan, do you want to try it and then we can all add in?
Sure. So, typical, someone's asking what is a normal course load? Why do I have 7 classes? So Amanda, correct me if I'm wrong, our normal course load is 5 courses per semester, correct? And we say, so that would be 15 credits. Now, the reason I'm hedging a little bit is because students are sometimes enrolled in courses that might be 4 credits. They might be enrolled in a clinical experience that has a different credit load. So there are a lot of variations, but I would say that the normal course load would be 5 courses that you're taking every semester. But as I said, there's a lot of variation depending on your status of what year you're in at Misericordia and what you're doing in your particular program. So that's why I'm hedging a little bit, but anybody else?
There's
Yeah.
also some 0 credit stuff out there that could look a lot like 7 really fast when you look at majors like education, for example. So those look like heavy schedules, but some of those are 0 credit courses. So they might be a field or observation experience that you won't necessarily be doing additional academic work for.
So what,
Jessica, correct me if I'm wrong, but FYE might be on your schedule as well, and that's going to be a 0.
It will definitely be on their schedule, yes.
so what you want to look at is your credit load per semester. So a full-time student should carry between 12 and 17 credits. So depending on how your classes carry credit, you want to be in that range somewhere to be a full-time student. So no less than 12, no more than 17 credits. And that's where you would fall for a full-time student.
Thank you, everyone. We're going to make a final call for questions from all of our participants in the webinar. And if you think of questions after this ends, I would suggest that you send them on to admissions, who can help you and make sure you get the correct information from the correct person. They're in touch. They have liaisons in every single major, and that would be great. We also wanted to mention, and I'm going to let the panel do this, that even though email is not a new thing, it's not particularly a wonderful experience. It's not fun like Snapchat or TikTok. It is the way a university runs. A university pretty much runs on email. So make sure you use your Misericordia email. I'm going to turn it over to the panelists.
Yeah, your professor's main way of communicating with you is going to be through either email directly or through your Blackboard course, which will be emailed out to your email account. So we might post an announcement that'll appear in your email as well. So it's really important. Those are the 2 places you want to check very regularly, your email and also your Blackboard course for those announcements that are going on. But also in your email, it's not just from your professors, it's opportunities on campus. That could be an internship opportunity. That could be when we get back to doing trips, that could be a trip. That could be an announcement about new courses. When it's time to register for classes for the spring, you'll see announcements that are out there about new courses. And I should say the third place you should check is our portal system, which you'll have access to. There are also announcements on the portal, many of which are forwarded to your email, but not all of them. We try to just send on the academic messages just so your email is not inundated. So again, the 3 places you want to check regularly: your email, definitely, Blackboard for your courses from your faculty, and also the portal.
And I would just add on to that, if you have smartphone capabilities, I would suggest that you link your Misericordia email to your smartphone so that you get alerts and updates right in the palm of your hand, because you're more likely to check your email on your phone throughout the day than you will be to be sitting in your dorm or at home and getting onto your laptop and checking. I can tell you, if anyone out there is a nursing major, that is the main way we communicate. And as freshmen coming in, you will have a freshman orientation within the first 2 to 3 weeks of your first semester, and all of that information will be coming to you in your email. So it's very important that you check your email, get in the habit of checking it at least once a day. If it's on your phone and you set it up for alerts, you'll probably check it more than that, just so that you stay on top of any important information that's coming out there.
It's important to realize that we keep saying your university email as well. It's important that you communicate with faculty and staff via the Misericordia issued address. Once you're a student, we can no longer talk to you on your Gmail due to federal privacy laws. So please make sure that you get used to utilizing that account.
Also, I note that if you do have questions, you can address them to orientations, plural, that's orientations, at misericordia.edu. So other questions can be fielded from orientation. Oh, it's not plural, it's orientation, sorry. Orientation at misericordia.edu. Also, we like to remind you that there are other orientation modules coming up and more live streaming to happen. And Jessica, if you have a schedule of those, could you share with our participants?
The schedule is listed on Blackboard, and I know that tomorrow night there will be a student life panel at 7 o'clock, and the Zoom is embedded right there in the Blackboard modules.
Okay, wonderful. So your Blackboard orientation model is the place to go. So if there are no further questions, I want to say thank you for joining us. Thank you for allowing us into your homes, and we look forward to seeing you on campus very soon. Have a good night, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.